Sri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Sri Saraswatye Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Vyasa Shankara Madhyamam Madacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Lokashankaram Samastajana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Om Sri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha Om Sri Tapovana Sishyaya Namaha. Hari Om. We are doing Ishavasya Upanishad. Last week we did the Shanti Patha. So let us first have the Shanti Patha again. So Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'm going to chant again. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So the key statement of the Shanti Patha. Last week I went over it. I want to elaborate a little bit. Shanti Patha also explains the relationship between cause and effect. Okay, cause and effect means, give an example, it will be clear. Clay is the cause, pot is the effect. Without the clay, pot is not possible. Clay is one, the products, like can be pot or it can be vase or it can be container, it can be anything that we can use, a plate, vase, like that. So cause is one, effects can be many. And if you take the cause out of the effect, effect does not remain. So in other words, there is no essence called effect. The essence is only coming from the cause. So even when you see the pot, everywhere you touch it, it is only clay. So where is the pot in our mind? Why? Because our drusti is on the utility. So we are conditioned to think from the utility point of view. But from the reality point of view, reality means what is actually there without change is reality. What comes and goes, today it can be pot, tomorrow when it is broken, it will be again earth. After some time, again it can be a vase. So what is permanently there is clay. What is coming and going is effect. So effect is nothing but cause with a different name and form. That's all it is. So what Vedanta Shastra is trying to say, all of us, we heard it in Mundaka Upanishad. In Bhagavad Gita also it is frequently stated. What it is saying is there is only one true cause behind the whole universe. Whether it is a pot or there is a golden ornament, or whether it is a human being, or whether it is a mind or thoughts, all of them have only one cause. It's very important to know. In the earlier example, I only gave example of pot and clay. But Vedanta says God pervades the whole universe. What you and I and the objects are nothing but appearances in God. Just like an ornament is an appearance in gold. We all appear within God, but out of our ego, we forget who you are. When we, through the knowledge of Vedanta Shastra, Jnana, when we actually realize who we are, we actually feel that liberation. When we become limited, we are bound. When we undo the limitations, we become that infinite, free, pure being, happy, ever peaceful. Now, using that as the background, we can still work, but we don't depend upon the world. In fact, we are much more happy, but much more effective in our decisions. Work does not stop, but you become more happy in the middle of the work. So, the reason I mentioned this in the new context is cause and effect point of view. You should understand the Santipatha. Once again, I will repeat what I said last week because I want to bring out your attention before you go to the first mantra. This Shantipata has to be understood in this angle. Purnamadaha Purnamidam. The whole universe, as I said earlier, is one presence being consciousness. So if the whole universe is that, that is also that, this jiva is also that. Because there is no effect, everything is only cause. From the point of the cause, from the point of view of the clay, there is no pot. It's only clay. So Purnamadaha Purnamidam. Now, how about the individual? The individual is only names and forms because of the mind conditioned. So, Purnat Purna Mudachyate. From the totality of the presence, individual presence just appears. Just like on the screen, a movie appears. But it is only screen, even now. Our mind is on the movie, but it's screen only the support. So Purnat Purna Mudachyate. This appearance is appearing within the actual Purna. Purna means full. Purnasya Purnamadaya. From this, if I take the actually cause, also from the totality, if I take the cause, only cause is there. From the Karana Drusti, only Karana is there. So that is the essence of that teaching. So I will give an example of wave and the ocean. That makes more clear. So both wave and the ocean are made of water. So from the point of view of the water, the wave is full. It's only water. There's nothing else there. Ocean is also full, just water. If you look from it is basically in the scientific language, it is dimensionless. When something is dimensionless, everywhere it is there. That is called Purna. Space is everywhere. The same way. Dimensionless quantity, he is everywhere. So water, point of view, wave, and there is no difference between wave and ocean. But how about the wave? It's nothing but the name and form that in our mind, our conditioning has that in our mind. So from the conditioned point of view, Purnat Purna Mudachyate. From the ocean, wave rose. But essentially they did not rise. So from the causal point of view, there is no change. Purnasya Purnamadaya. From the wave, if you take the water, if you also take water from the ocean, from the water point of view, Purnameva Vasishyate. Only water is there. There was never name and form. What Upanishad is saying, Purnameva Avasishyate. What you called as the wave is never there. It's just only water. It's only a mental preoccupation. The universe is exactly like that. If you are purely to yourself by yourself, Atmanyeva Atmana Tustaha. Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. The world disappears. Then even if it appears, you are aware it appeared within you. Without you, your desires are not there. Without you, what you see is not there. If you want to attach to it, you can attach. If you don't want to detach, you can detach. So this particular Shanti mantra is a very, very, very comprehensive. It says Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avasishyate. So it is actually saying there is only essentially oneness. What appears as different is just mithya. It has no reality of its own. It just appears. It has a practical value if you want to communicate, but it has no absolute value, separate from God. So this is important to understand from the cause and effect point of view. Our Gurudev frequently gives an example. Cause is nothing but effect. Effect is nothing but cause with a different name and form. If you take the cause out from the effect, nothing remains. Swamiji beautifully he explains the whole Vedanta in few principles. He puts it together. You know, cause alone appears as effects. So now this is I want to recap what we learned because it's comprehensive. Nama Rupa is appearance, actuality is real. That's what I should do. Okay. So now let us go ahead and take mantra number 1. Yes. O Ishavashamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagatu tena tektena bunjitaha magrudhak kasya siddhanam Ishavashamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagatu tena tektena bunjitha magrudhak kasya sviddhanam. Okay. Now, this mantra essentially follows directly from the Shantipata. Ishavashamidam sarvam. Whole universe is actually sarvam. Ishavashyam is pervaded in and through by God. Dimensionless, I told you earlier. Which wherever you look, only God is there. That's what it is. Ishavashyamidam, avashyam means it is pervaded, enveloped, in and through. Wherever you look at it, God is only there. Consciousness is only there. Only consciousness appears different by the magic of our mind, our conditioning. Because since childhood we are programmed to think everything different. Objects. That is fine. But now the teaching is to undo programming, but at the same time able to operate properly. Ishavashamidam sarvam. Now, what is the word sarvam means? Sarva means everything. Here it is defined yat kinchit jagatyam jagat. Explanation given for the word sarvam. Yat kinchit, whatever, which whatever small it may be, whatever big it may be. Jagatyam jagat. Jagat means that which is born, jayate gachyate, then goes. Some people also add tisthati for some time. Jayate gachyate tisthati. So whatever is born and whatever dies or disappears, what appears and disappears. Jagatyam, in this universe. All that appears and disappears is actually pervaded by God, who is changeless. So within him, everything appears. Just like in you, your dream appears. Ishavashamidam sarvam etkinchit jagatyam jagat. In this universe, whatever comes and goes is nothing but God. Is pervaded by God. So everything, God is the cause. Effects are the changes that we see are the Jagat. Tena tyaktena bunjithaha. Do not keep on projecting happiness in objects because they are not permanent. And then you also do not covet, do not be greedy. And the reason is kasya siddhanam. Who's this? Whose wealth is this anyway? You never brought anything with you. You're not taking anything. It is God alone is there. So wealth is itself a mental concept. So last week I briefly mentioned, suppose if we have a biscuit and then a gold bar, for a dog, biscuit is more valuable. For a kid, biscuit is more valuable. It's not in the object, it is in the mind. So success and failure is also in the mind. So Ishavasyavidam Sarvam, once you have that clarity, that quiet, peaceful presence without any attachments is your true nature. And then you revel in that. And then you see the whole universe in the view of that total peace and security. Then whatever comes and goes, tena tektena. By that vision, let that go, let that pass. Do not covet anything. Does not mean don't live in the future. Always live in the present. Ma gurta kasya svidhanam. Whose money, whose wealth it is anyway. Wealth is never yours. You only in the mind. Loss and gain is also in the mind. But don't mean does not mean you just walk away. It doesn't mean that. You have the sense of renunciation in your heart with the clarity that is called jnana. So Sri Krishna Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, he gives very beautifully explains sannyasa and karma yoga. He explains. Sannyasa is actual physical renunciation. Whereas Karma Yoga is stay engaged in the world but have a mental renunciation. And then Upasana, prayers every day, and performing the five Panchamaha daily. Pitrayajna, Manushayajna, Bhodayajna, Daivayajna, Rushiyajna, I mentioned before, have some sense of service to the society. That is also Karma Yoga. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, there are two nishthas. One is sannyasa, other is Karma Yoga. One is renunciation, and then or live like a grihastha but have clarity of doing Karma Yoga and Upasana. Called nishtadvaya. And the second one is called sadhanadvaya. Sadhana is also Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. So the Jnana Yoga is the bottom line. Everybody has to graduate through Jnana. That you are the true self, world is dependent upon you. That is Jnana. So Jnana is the bottom line. Whether you take sannyasa or you stay involved in the world, it doesn't matter. Sadhana is more important. Then he also says, between these two, Karma Yoga is better than sannyasa. Because most people, even they give up the world, they really, mentally, they have not given up. So while being engaged in the world, you have to learn how to grow out of it. So this mantra number 1, many commentators, tena tyaktena bunjitaha, they have given the interpretation by renunciation, enjoy. By renunciation, some people take it as sannyasa. Shankaracharya himself says sannyasa. But some people say it's a mental renunciation, not the physical renunciation. So, Chinmaya Mission, we normally talk about mental renunciation, means you grow while living in the world with mentally recognizing the limitations of the world. That is Jnana. Okay. Now, I want to read a little bit of Bhagavan's Bhashya before we go to the next mantra. The Bhagavan Shankaracharya explains the first mantra from the perspective of he says first mantra is mainly for renunciates. And second mantra is for those who want to engage in the world. So he has actually said first mantra is Sankhya in the language of Bhagavad Gita, and second mantra onwards Karma Yoga and Upasanas. Second mantra. And then third mantra to eighth mantra are expansion of the first mantra. And the ninth mantra to last mantra are expansion of the second mantra. That's how Bhagavan Shankaracharya writes commentary. But as I said before, renunciation does not necessarily mean walking away from the responsibilities. It is recognizing the limitations of the world, and then while you are engaged, grow out of it. Nishtadvaya, it is called. So Bhagavan Shankaracharya starts off saying, Isha iste it eat, tena Isha. Ishavasya midam sarvam, right? It started with the word Isha. So Bhagavan, actually I want to make one important point here. Mahatma Gandhi has written in his notes that this particular mantra is the greatest of all the teachings of Hinduism. Mahatma Gandhi has written. He says, in fact, he is so fascinated by that. He said, if the whole Hinduism is destroyed, but this mantra is preserved, nothing is lost. That kind of profound statement he made. Because it says, see the God everywhere, and then renounce mental limitations, and do not covet anybody's wealth, because it's not ours anyway. So he felt it has morality is there, and also vision is there, and also a sadhana is there. So he felt this is the best mantra of the whole Hinduism, you know. But so I'm going back to Bhagavan Shankaracharya's Bhashya. Isha, iste iti eat. Tena Isha. Iste means the one who is controller. Means Bhagavan, Ishvara. That is the word. By him, by Ishvara. So what is we have to look at two ways. Ishvara means the one who is controller, number one, that's okay, that's a good one. Also, he is also Swatantra. He is not dependent on anything else. Just like clay is not dependent upon pot. So one who is independent, who pervades everything appears in him, he is ultimately Swatantra. Swatantra means total independence, not dependent upon anyone. So Isha also means Swatantra, Sarvavyapa, Satya, Nitya, ever truth. Isha. Isha. Tena, by that all pervading, independent Bhagavan, Parameshwaraha, then Bhagavan Shankaracharya plays a small trick here. Paramatma Sarvasya. He adds that. He is the essential self of all. See? So Shankaracharya's greatness, that is greatness. He never distinguishes Jiva from Purnamadaha, Purnamidam. He always talks about oneness, because we want to constantly engage ourselves as mind, but he constantly demolishes that illusion. Paramatma Sarvasya. As soon as he said Ishvara, he said the essential self of all. Nahi sarvam iste sarvajantunam atmasan pratyegatmataya. Sorry. Sahi sarvam iste sarvajantunam atmasan pratyegatmataya. He is the only essence of everybody as the innermost being. Pratyegatmataya. See, Shankara Bhashya is so important to relate to even some of his sentences. See, if, if you hear from his words, then it becomes real to you in your heart. Bhagavan is saying very clearly, right in you, as the all-pervading presence. Tena svena rupena atmana Ishavasya Upanishad. By that essential being, which is you and outside, together, one being, with that awareness, you cover your thinking. Why Kim? He asked the question himself. Idam sarvam yat kinchat jagatyam pruthivyam jagat tat sarvam svena atmana ishena pratyagatmataya aham eva idam sarvam iti paramartha satya rupena anrutam idam sarvam characharam achyadaniyam svena paramatmana. He said, so in everything in this universe, that Isha or the Pratyagatma, your own self, is covered in its essential form. Paramartha Satya Rupena. Not as your thoughts and your fears and your insecurities. That is your problem. God never left you, you left God. Your worries are separating you from your peaceful presence. Pratyega aham eva idam sarvam iti. I am alone, all pervading, pure being. Idam sarvam chara acharam. Both moving and non-moving has to be covered. Now he gives a beautiful example. He says, Yatha Chandanagarvadehe Udakadi Sambandha Kledadijam Aupadhikam Daurgandhyam Tat Swarupa Nigharshanena Achyadhyate Svena Paramarthikena Gandhena. He gives a beautiful example. What he is trying to say is, suppose you have a Chandana means suddenly English language. um, you have the Chandana. Chandana means sandalwood. Sandalwood, sorry. Sandalwood is fragrant. Now somebody has left a sandalwood piece, because you rub it and then you make nice gandham out of it, and then you apply here and then you apply to God and all. That sandalwood itself comes like a stick. You leave it in water for a long time, what happens? It gets by the wetness of the water, it gets coated and develops a bad foul smell. But now how do you get the actual fragrance out of it? You take that sandalwood piece, then you rub against a stone, and then the foul smell part will be uncovered, and then fragrant part gets discovered. In the same way, we are all essentially pure being, happy, ever present, Paramatmataya, Pratyagatmataya, Suddha, Buddha, Mukta, Swarupa. Happy presence. But temporarily, out of ignorance, we covered ourselves with foulness. And then we are looking ourselves through the foulness. He is saying through Jnana, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and understanding you are the pure self, discover yourself. Remove the cover of foulness. Beautiful example. Tatvat eva hi swatmani adhyastam swabhavikam katrutra bhotrutvad lakshanam jagat dvaitarupam jagatyam pruthivyam. Jagatyam iti upalakshanardhatvat sarvam eva nama rupa karmakhyam vikarajatam paramartha satyatma bhavanaya tyaktam syat. That's why we are covered by I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the sufferer, I am the victim, all these things. Katrutra means doing, bhotutra means enjoying. Doing involves receiving also, you know. Enjoying means like and dislikes. Dukkha and sukha both are also enjoyment. Without dukkha, you don't appreciate sukha also. You cannot appreciate. The same way, everything is what they call polar opposites. So all of these are essential nature of the jagat, of the universe, he's saying. These are all born of vikara jatam. Vikara means modifications. Paramartha satyatma bhavanaya tyaktam syat. All those vikaras you drop through asserting your true nature. Just like by rubbing out the foul smell of a sandalwood stick, in the same way, you asserting who are you already are, but you just got covered by ignorance, by your own mistakes, wrong habits. एवं ईश्वरात्म भावनया युक्तस्य पुत्रा पुत्राद येष्णात्रय संन्यासे एव अधिकार न कर्मसु. He is saying very clearly in his language, those who renounce mentally desires that control our life, they actually enjoy life. So ma grudha grudhim akanksha ma akarshihi dhana vishayam. Do not be overwhelmed. Do not covet wealth. Because after all, whose wealth is this anyway? He's saying. Kasyasvit dhanam kasyatarasya. Whose wealth is this anyway? That's what Bhagavan is saying. Adhava ma grudha kasmat kasyasvit dhanam. Second way he's saying, otherwise, whose wealth is it anyway? You never brought it. It is already there. But it is just you are only mentally you are saying you lost this, you got that, you get all these things. But really it was never yours. It was just a mental preoccupation. It is Ishwar Bhava सर्वं अतः आत्मनः एव इदं सर्वम् आत्मा एव च सर्वम् अतो मिथ्या विषयं गृहि मा आकर्षि इति अर्थः. So what you think, you don't see. Basically, Vedanta is very, very clear. What you are is more important than what you have. You keep what you have, what you don't have aside, and then just be yourself. And then take one thing at a time as you need for transactional purpose. It does not mean that you don't plan. Planning also you do. But you live life in the present. Once you plan it, you live in the present and execute it without worrying. Because you have no choice. I mentioned in the introductory class, first class, that sarvam paravasam dukkham, sarvam atmavasam sukham. So Karma Yoga is only performing what you can, and result is not in your hands. Drop that. If you worry about the result, it is dukkha only. You never be happy. Keep on expectations, keep on increasing. Asantruktikaram, bandhakatvam, as I mentioned. Results are always like that. So, for those who are highly qualified, this particular first verse is the teaching. You are the pure essential self, uncontaminated by thoughts and fears or insecurities or fears, whatever. An essential peaceful self. With that awareness, you look at the world and you feel the world is also appearing. With that clarity, you renounce the anxieties and frustrations and then put them away and then work and then enjoy. The Namarupas, you put them aside, live in the level of the cause. What comes and goes is just an effect, not the cause. With that clarity, you live. Basically, that's what the first. So now I will quote a couple of slokas from Bhagavad Gita and then Upanishad. So this is a Mundaka Upanishad we have done. So in Bhagavad Gita 5:19, if you have that clarity that you are that pure essential presence, Bhagavad Gita says, Yahayavatair येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म Tasmat Brahmani te stitaha. This is chapter 5, verse 19. It says, for such people who have that samatva, Ishavasya Midam Sarvam, when the whole universe is pervaded by godliness, that samatva is there. It is also here and out there. So ihaivataihi jitas sargaha. By them, while alive right now, the sargaha means samsara is defeated. Why? Esham same sthitam manha. Their mind is in equanimous state. The reason is nirdosham hi samam brahma. That Brahma or that Atma has no defects, ups and downs, worries, anxieties, because it's changeless screen behind the movie. Because there is no dosha is only in the sandalwood that is contaminated by the water. As Shankaracharya's example. Dosha is only in your thoughts and in your projections, in your anxieties. They are in you. Dosha means defects. Because they don't have that, then in a state of balance, tasmat brahmani te stitaha. Because their mind is so balanced, they're happy. Their vision also, vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini sunucheva swapakecha pandita samadarshinaha. This is chapter 5. They also see godliness everywhere. They're very, very humble because of the knowledge. Vidya vinaya sampanne. They're also very humble. They see godliness in everything. Brahmanaha, cow, and also in a hasti means elephant. Sunucheva swapakecha, in the dog, and also those who kill dog and eat, because pandita samadarshinaha, because they see evenness everywhere. The reason I am quoting this sloka is very important. They see evenness in everything, but transactionally they don't treat all of them the same because their clarity is there. Because Brahmana is a sattvic person, they treat like a person. Cow is also an animal, sattvic animal, they treat like a cow. They give her grass. Hasti means elephant. They give whatever it needs. So you don't treat them different. Mentally, you see them as the God. But transactionally, you treat them as they need to be treated. You respect Brahmin one way, you respect cow one way, you respect dog one way, you respect the one who is eating dog one way. All of them have different personalities, different individualities. You don't treat all of them equally in terms of transaction, but in terms of the mentally respect and humility, you treat them same. Love. The Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane is a very famous mantra, sloka. You know. So Bhagavad Gita actually follows Ishavasya Upanishad very closely. You know. So we saw in Mundaka Upanishad, very, very famous mantra. I will quote that. Brahmai Vedam Amrutam Purastad Brahma Paschat Brahma Dakshinataha Uttarena Adhasyordam cha Prasutam Brahmai Vedam Vishwamidam Varishtham. I will chant this again. Brahmai Vedam Amrutam Purastad Brahma Paschat Brahma Dakshinataha Uttarena Adhasyordam cha Prasutam Brahmai Vedamidam Vishwamidam Varishtham. This is the Mundaka Upanishad. Whole Mundaka Upanishad talks about from the point of view of the cause and effect. The introduction itself I told. Mundaka Upanishad, the cause is called Akshara, changeless. And in the Mundaka Upanishad it says, Brahma Vedam Amrutam. God alone is changeless. Mrutam means changing. Yat kinchit jagatyam jagat, whatever changes in the jagat, that is mrutam. Jagatyam jagat, that which changes in the world is called mrutam. So Brahma Veda, Brahma Vedam, Brahmaiva idam amrutam. God alone is changing. The screen behind the movie. Purastad Brahma, Paschad Brahma. To your, in front of you, on the east side, it is God. Paschad Brahma, on the west side, it is God. Dakshinataha, on the right side, Brahman. Uttarena, on the left side, Brahman. Adhascha Urdham cha Prasutam. Same God is present above and below. Brahmaivedam Visham Varis. Whole universe is supreme Brahman alone. Vishwam. The reason it is added is sometimes you might worry, how about my front, my back, my side, everything you said, but how about me? Vishwamidam Sarvam. You are included in Vishwam, all pervading presence. Vishwamidam Varistham, by Supreme Bhagavan alone, whole universe is pervaded. This is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Upanishad teaching. God alone is all pervading real oneness. See, many religions claim that Hinduism is polytheistic, nonsense. They don't know. Essence of Hinduism is oneness. We don't exist. We don't exist. According to Hinduism, only God exists. In fact, as per Hinduism, the greatest oneness, non-duality is only Hinduism. Because I don't exist. Many of the other religions say we are non-dual, but then they separate themselves out. They also say I'm going to heaven after that. All these things, they are not non-dual. They're not giving God a special privilege. Whereas Hinduism says the whole thing is pervaded by only God, and you and I don't exist other than the mind. Even while alive, after death also it doesn't apply. Because once you realize who you are, you have no death also. You have no birth also, technically speaking. So now, tena tektena bhunjitaha. By renunciation alone, you enjoy. So in the language of the Bhagavad Gita, so I want to quote one or two slokas from Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavan Krishna says, renunciation has to be mental, not physical. Because physical renunciation can be hard. Then you live in the world, you don't have food, you don't know how to, nobody will give you food. They say you work and earn your money. And so Krishna says, Sanyasastu Mahabaho Dukkhamaptum Ayogataha Yoga Yukto Munir Brahma Nacharenadhigachati. Don't get overexcited by listening to slokas, mantras like Ishavasya, Tektena Bunjita, means sannyasa. Don't get over. Krishna says, Sanyasastu Mahavaho Dukkhamaptum Ayogata. If your mind is not prepared by Karma Yoga and Upasana, sannyasa is very hard, Krishna says. Yoga Yukto Munir Brahma Nacharenadhi Gachyati. If you once you practice Karma Yoga and Upasana, then you automatically graduate to Jnana. If you jump the gun and try to practice, I understand what God is everywhere, I just want to only remain in free, you cannot, because your mind is not ready. Yoga Yukto Visuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriya Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvannapina Lipyate. In that state, once Yoga Yuktaha Visuddhatma, when Karma Yoga matures, your mind becomes pure, then at that state, kurvan napina lipyate. Even though you are working, you are not affected. In fact, Krishna also says, chapter 6, chapter first mantra, first sloka, he says, Anasita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na chakriyaha. Says, those who perform actions without depending upon the result, they are real sannyasis. As I said earlier, sarvam paravasam dukkham. The result is always, if you depend upon others, if you always think about result, it is dukkham only. Sarvam atmavasam sukham. This is karma yoga. So if you don't depend upon the result, karyam karma karoti yaha. If you keep on performing your duties, that person is a real sannyasi, Krishna says. So tyaktena bhunji, tyaktena actually you should understand it as mentally dropping the dependence on the world. But do your best. And but then act, not react constantly. So this is very, very beautiful. So next mantra, which we'll take up next week, it actually says how it will act in the world. If you are not ready, if you don't have that infinite clarity that I am that pure presence, happiness, peace, uncontaminated presence, then world just comes and goes in me. I am not the world. That is Ishavasya. But if you are not really that clear, then you have to live working with clarity. The second mantra talks about us. If you cannot immediately grasp that oneness of infinitude and then be that by jnana, but then you have to prepare yourself through karma and upasana. Then you qualify for that. And that is given in the second mantra, which we will take up, I guess next week we have no, okay, we'll take in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.